Hi everyone. So today we don't have the best lighting I've ever had, but I just wanted to get a video out because I suddenly had a few ideas, and one of them was to talk about some books that I don't think I'll ever read, even though at some point I did have them on my TBR, or I was planning to read them at some point, or maybe I was interested in them. So this isn't really the tag that's books I'll never read or something like that. It's just a list of books that I think I'll never read. So the first one is The End of Alice by A.M. Holmes. I don't remember at which point I put this in my TBR, but I fear I was going through my TBR on Goodreads a few days ago when I noticed that I had that, and I didn't really remember what it was about, so I clicked on it, looked at a few reviews, and I decided to take it off because well, for one, it seems like the book is more or less about pedophilia, so there's that, but it's not even that really. It's more like the fact that it apparently is some sort of like cheap imitation of Lolita in its content and its style, but it doesn't really do it well. And what really drove me to say that I'm not gonna read it is that in one of the reviews someone copy pastes or quotes a paragraph directly from the book, and it's so badly written. I was like, oh my god. It was just describing someone eating French fries or something, not even an interesting way. It was just kind of like, like Haruki Murakami, just kind of describing stuff about breakfast or whatever, not even really adding anything to the plot or to the character development or anything, which I kind of find it a bit of a pet peeve when authors do that. It honestly feels even a little bit narcissistic when writers do it, because it's like, oh look, my writing style is so good that even just me talking about eating French fries is interesting enough to keep it in a novel. And I honestly don't even get why editors don't do their job on things like that, but I guess there has to be someone who enjoys it some way, but it's not me. The second one is Haunted by Megan Spooner. It was a pretty big deal a couple years ago here on BookTube. I think it's a YA read that's like romance or a sort of a fairy tale retelling, specifically a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And for some reason, when I added that on my TBR, I think I just was on a phase where I wanted to read that kind of retelling, or who knows. And I'm not against romance, by the way. I actually write, well, the fiction that I write is usually romance, but the serious stuff that I'm working on, like my novel and stuff, not really romance. But when I write fanfics, for example, I do make them about romance, because usually it's about some frustrated ship that didn't happen or something like that. Anyways, point being, usually if I'm going to read romance, it's probably something like on Wattpad that I don't have to pay for. So if I pay for romance and I think it's bad or something, I probably am gonna be salty about it. And I guess when I put it on my TBR, I guess I wanted to read some romance or whatever, but then I read The Bloody Chamber and Other Stories, which I made a review for in this channel, and I'm pretty satisfied, I feel, now when it comes to fairy tale retellings. I feel like I got a pretty good idea on what it's like, and I don't really feel like reading Hunted anymore, aside from the fact that a lot of reviews cited a bunch of stuff that really would turn me off anyway, like the fact that it was very cliche about many things and the characters weren't even interesting, which that's like a real sin for me in terms of writing. If your characters are like one-dimensional or aren't even interesting, that why would I read romance about them? So so I have no idea now why even I would have wanted to read it. So anyways, number 3 is A Little Life by Hania Yanagihara, and a lot of people really love this book. Also a lot of people really hate it. So there's sort of like mixed feelings on it, and at some point I did want to read it just to have my piece on it, just to be like, just to know which side I would be on, But then I thought about it more and I realized that the things that people criticize about it are pretty valid, and I think are things that I would see myself criticizing about other things. Um, because those things, one of the many reasons why people dislike this book is because they thought that it over victimized one of the main characters. I mean, I think you probably know what I'm talking about. It's Jude. I haven't even read a book, but I know what's up with Jude, you know? Anyways, so a lot of people say that the book just tried too hard to make him into a victim, and it was just to a point where it was really unrealistic and ridiculous that he was just a victim of everything and anyone, and that nothing could improve him, and that, you know, it was just like that kind of thing. I would find it to be pretty tiring to read, especially for 900 pages, or I don't even know how long that book is. Yeah, those stories are, to me, sometimes really feel manipulative. It probably is realistic in the sense that some people in their lives have gone through so many things, you know, horrible abuse after another. But when you write it down on a character, it seems strange, like you are going out of your way to make a certain character seem a victim and be a victim and never become better, never improve, never be anything more than a victim. I'm pretty sure actually now that I would criticize it, I would dislike a book based on that. Just based on that flaw, so to speak, because it was actually one of the things that made me kind of dislike the movie Joker from last year a little bit in retrospect. Not much, because I do consider myself to like that book, that movie even now. But in retrospect, in hindsight, I do feel like the movie at some points tried hard to make him into a victim, the main character, just to more or less justify the things that he was doing. Although I guess there could be a bit of an excuse for that, because okay, so I found my little selfie ring light, so hopefully this looks better than it did before. But yeah, I was talking about the Joker, even though that has nothing to do with, well, it does have a little bit to do. But my point is that when you write that down, it just becomes sort of a pity party for a certain character as opposed to being a real kind of more nuanced exploration of a character. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that was probably going on with A Little Life, especially because I feel like a lot of people who liked it more than anything were kind of manipulated by the book in a way. Not to say that you are stupid or anything for liking that book, because I myself, when I read Mice and Men, I remember that I cried a lot and it was a whole thing. And then in hindsight, I don't even remember. But I now feel like that story is a little bit like that too, that it kind of manipulates you or forces you into liking the story just because it's really tragic and stuff. And I feel like that's a really cheap thing for a writer to do. The whole story, I mean, to base the whole story on just tragedy and just bad things happening to one specific character. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I probably wouldn't like it much. So it would be kind of a waste of time to read it, because I probably would be looking for flaws the whole time anyway and not even enjoy it. So number 4 is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. Again, this was a very popular one a couple of years ago here on BookTube. And the hook that I felt would probably make this interesting is that this book is about some princess who escapes. You probably have heard it a million times. But it's about a princess who escapes the castle because she wants to live in an arranged marriage. She wants to leave it, so, you know, not be part of it. And she's being chased by 2 guys, one who wants to kill her and was supposed to marry her. And she doesn't know which is which, apparently. But the thing is, like, she doesn't recognize them when she sees them, right? But the thing is that according to a lot of reviews, the guy who is supposed to kill her, as soon as he sees her, he changes his mind immediately and like becomes in love with her or whatever, which like takes all of the interest of the hook out of it. I mean, like it becomes completely pointless, to have that plot line going on if he's going to make up his mind as soon as he sees her, essentially, or it becomes much more predictable, so to speak. So when I read those reviews, I went, what's the point? I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like it feels kind of pointless. Okay, so number 5 is Harry Potter by you know who. So here's the thing. When I was a little kid, my parents bought the whole series for my brother and they read it for my brother. I was only like 4 or something, I don't know, but I couldn't really read at the time, I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe I could, I don't even remember, but I think I just didn't care about the story, I don't know. Point is, I didn't read the books as a child. And, time went on and people in my generation did sometimes like them. I'm a Gen Z, basically, so that's more of a millennial thing, I think. So, I'm kind of between those two generations. But a couple years ago, I went, you know what? I mean, I might as well read them. Read them. I mean, just to know, just to see, just to be able to say that I read them because everyone has read them. But after a little while more recently, I realized that I don't really care that much about fantasy or YA or middle grade, let alone a combination of the two, like a book that is both of them. And 2 is that if I dislike it, I will have wasted my time, and also if I like it, I will have liked the book that was written by J.K. Rowling. So why would I want that? I mean, I know lots of fans of this book series that really don't like her at all, and they don't regret, but they kind of lament the fact that they like a book or a series of books that was written by this person because they don't want to be associated with her. And I don't really like to be, I mean, obviously I can be critical about things, about authors while liking their works or whatever, but I would rather not be in a position where I like something but I have to apologize for it in a way, which, I mean, you don't really have to apologize for liking Harry Potter just because J.K. Rowling is a terrible person. I mean, it is what it is, you can't really control what you like or don't. But I can control what I read or don't, so I think I'd rather not even get into that whole thing in the first place. So those were the 5 books that I don't think I'll ever read. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Not sure if there's much to be enjoyed from it because I'm basically complaining, but sometimes I like to watch these kind of videos from other people because it really tells me about like what things they don't like in writing, and what are the real like pet peeves, not even pet peeves, but like the real things, the opposite of a pet peeve, like the bigger flaws that like really really throw them off when it comes to books or reading. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.